I'm telling you, Nathan, she's unraveling. If we move now, we can have her declared unfit. I've got a psychiatrist ready to sign off. Then we take the company, split it clean. Half for you, half for me. No more of her reckless decisions tanking our profits. The words sliced through me like a blade. I stood frozen in the corridor of my own penthouse, my hand trembling on the handle of the library door. The voices were unmistakable, my husband Nathan and my sister Vanessa. They were inside their whispers, sharp and conspiratorial, like vultures circling a dying animal. "We need solid evidence, she's losing it," Vanessa hissed. "Those all-nighters, the fight, she's buckling under the pressure. One more nudge and she'll break. The board will back us." My breath caught. I pressed my ear to the door, heart hammering. How could this be real, Vanessa, my own flesh and blood, the sister I'd lifted from nothing, given a career, a future? And Nathan, my partner of 18 years, the man I'd built an empire with, plotting to betray me for control, for money. My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I'd always believed trust was the bedrock of my life. I founded Holt Dynamics in Seattle 18 years ago, starting in a cramped warehouse with a vision and sheer determination. We develop cutting-edge biotech, wearable health monitors that predict heart attacks, insulin patches for diabetics. I turned it into a $90 million company. Nathan managed the finances while I drove innovation. Vanessa joined 4 years ago as head of operations after her failed startup left her drowning in debt. I gave her a lifeline, a high-ranking role, a 6-figure salary, even covered her daughter's private school fees. But now this. I backed away from the door, silent as a ghost, my mind spinning. The penthouse felt alien, the sleek glass walls, the Puget Sound glittering beyond the windows. I slipped into the powder room, locked the door, and stared at my reflection. My auburn hair, flecked with silver from years of stress, framed a face that looked older tonight. My hazel eyes, usually fierce, were wide with shock. How had I missed this Nathan's late meetings that reeked of bourbon and cologne? Vanessa's subtle jabs in board meetings, undermining my new product launches. I'd blamed it on the company's growth. We were prepping for a massive IPO next year. But this wasn't stress. This was a coup. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and opened the voice recorder. Too late to catch them tonight, but next time I'd get proof. Confronting them now would be reckless. I needed a strategy. If they thought I was unstable, I'd play the part just enough to outsmart them. That night, I lay beside Nathan, faking sleep as he tapped away on his tablet. His breathing was calm, but the space between us felt like a void. "Sweet dreams, darling," he murmured, brushing my cheek. I forced myself not to flinch. The next morning, over breakfast in our minimalist kitchen, the scent of espresso heavy in the air, I tested them. "Nathan, I'm thinking of scaling back at the company," I said, sipping my smoothie. "Maybe let Vanessa take on more leadership." He froze his coffee mug halfway to his lips. His gray eyes flickered surprise, ambition. "That's new. But if it's what you need, Adrienne, I'm behind you." Vanessa arrived for our weekly family brunch, her sleek black hair flawless, her smile too polished. She hugged me tightly. "Sis, you look exhausted. Everything okay?" I mirrored her smile. Just the usual chaos, holding it together. Inside, I was seething. How dare they? I'd built Holt Dynamics from nothing after our parents' car accident left us orphans. I worked night shifts at a diner to put Vanessa through college. When I married Nathan, he was a junior bookkeeper. I made him CFO. And now they wanted to lock me away like some unhinged liability. That afternoon in my home office, I dug into company records on my secure laptop. Access logs showed unauthorized activity financial reports viewed from Vanessa's account, and encrypted emails between her and Nathan hidden in a shared folder. Nothing damning yet, but hints of backup plans. I needed an ally, someone beyond their reach. That's when I thought of Caleb Morrow, my chief scientist. Young, sharp, fiercely loyal. We'd spent late nights perfecting prototypes, a quiet chemistry between us, unspoken inappropriate given my marriage and the age gap. But if anyone could unearth digital evidence, it was him. I texted him, "Need to talk. Off the record. Coffee shop on Pike Street, 2 p.m. His response was immediate. "I'm there." At the crowded cafe, the hum of conversations and clink of mugs surrounding us, Caleb slid into the booth. His sandy hair was messy, his brown eyes worried. "Adrienne, what's going on?" "You look spooked." I leaned closer, voice hushed. "I think Nathan and Vanessa are conspiring to take the company. Maybe have me committed." His expression darkened. "Tell me everything." As I recounted the overheard plot, Caleb's fist clenched. "We need hard evidence. I can monitor their digital activity discreetly. Set up traps." "It's dangerous," I whispered. "If they suspect, they won't. I've got your back." His gaze held mine, steady and tense. It stirred something I'd long suppressed. But this wasn't the time. As we left, he touched my arm. "You're not fighting this alone, Adrienne." Back home, I played the perfect wife and sister, masking my fury. At dinner, Nathan announced a last-minute board meeting next week. Vanessa chimed in, too eager. "It's a big step for the company's future." I smiled tightly, looking forward to it. But I was planning my own move. If they wanted a war, I'd bring one. What I didn't know was the depth of their secrets, infidelity, stolen funds, and a revelation that would upend my entire world. That night, as rain lashed the windows, I lay awake. Their betrayal stung, but it lit a fire in me. I wasn't going down quietly. And Caleb, he might be my greatest weapon or my biggest mistake. The Seattle rain was relentless, drumming against the penthouse windows as I sat in my office staring at the laptop screen. Caleb's email had just come through encrypted and marked urgent. "Found something. Meet me at the lab, 10 p.m. Come alone." My pulse quickened. It had been 2 days since I overheard Nathan and Vanessa's plot to oust me from Holt Dynamics, and I'd barely slept, my mind spinning with questions. What had Caleb uncovered, and could I trust him completely, or was I walking into another trap? My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I'd learned that trust is a luxury I could no longer afford. I'd built a biotech empire from nothing, but now my husband Nathan and my sister Vanessa were scheming to take it all, maybe even have me locked away. The thought made my stomach churn, but it also sharpened my focus. If they thought I'd crumble, they were about to meet a version of Adrienne Holt they didn't know existed. I glanced at the clock, 7:30 p.m. Nathan was downstairs sipping bourbon and reviewing reports on his tablet. Vanessa had texted earlier suggesting a family dinner tomorrow to catch up. Their fake concern made my skin crawl, but I had to play along. I replied, "Sounds perfect. Let's do 6 p.m. at the house." "Keep them close," I told myself. "Let them think they're winning." At 9:45 p.m., I slipped out, telling Nathan I needed to check something at the lab. "Don't stay too late, darling." He called, his voice smooth as ever. I forced a smile and grabbed my coat, the weight of my phone set to record heavy in my pocket. The Holt Dynamics lab was a 10-minute drive from our Lakeview penthouse tucked in a sleek industrial park near Fremont. The building glowed under sodium lights, its glass facade reflecting the rain-slicked streets. Inside, the air smelled of antiseptic and ozone, a familiar comfort from years of late-night experiments. Caleb was waiting in the server room, his laptop open, lines of code scrolling across the screen. "Adrienne," he said, looking up. His brown eyes were intense, his usual easy grin gone. "You need to see this." He turned the laptop toward me. It showed a chain of emails between Nathan and Vanessa pulled from a hidden server partition I didn't even know existed. "They've been using a shadow account," Caleb said, rerouting company emails through a private relay to cover their tracks. I scanned the messages, my blood running cold. One from Vanessa, dated last week. "She's pushing the new insulin patch too fast. If it fails, we can use it to prove she's reckless. Board's already uneasy." Nathan's reply agreed. "I've got the financials ready to show losses if we need to push the narrative. Dr. Kessler's on board, says he can diagnose her with stress-induced psychosis if we get the right incident." "Dr. Kessler?" I whispered, my voice shaking. The company's health consultant, Caleb, nodded. "He's been on their payroll for months. Off-books payments. I traced them to a shell account Nathan set up. I gripped the edge of the table, the room tilting. Kessler had been my doctor for years, checked my vitals, prescribed my sleep meds. Had he been feeding them information, watching me for signs of weakness? There's more, Caleb said, his voice low. He clicked to another email, this one from Nathan to an unknown recipient, need dirt on Adrienne. Anything personal affairs, breakdowns, anything we can use. Budget's $200,000. I felt sick. They're hiring someone to smear me. Looks like it, Caleb said, but I've set up a trap. I'm mirroring their accounts, every email, every login. If they send anything else, we'll know. And I'm digging into their financials. There's a discrepancy in the R&D budget, about $500,000, unaccounted for. Embezzlement. I asked, my voice barely audible. Maybe. I need more time. I nodded, trying to process it all. Caleb, why are you doing this? This could tank your career if they find out. He hesitated, then met my eyes. Because you believed in me when no one else did. You hired me straight out of grad school, gave me a shot, and I see what they're doing to you. It's not right. There it was again, that spark between us, dangerous and undeniable. I pushed it down. Thank you, I said simply. But be careful. They're ruthless. As I drove home, the city blurred through the rain. Nathan was still up watching the news in the living room, the TV casting blue light across his face. Everything okay at the lab, he asked, not looking up. Just some data glitches, I lied, slipping off my coat. Fixed now. I went upstairs, locked myself in the bathroom, and played back the recording from my phone. Every word from Caleb was clear. Evidence. But it wasn't enough yet. I needed something ironclad to take to the board, something that would bury Nathan and Vanessa. The next day, I went through the motions at the office, smiling at staff approving budgets. Vanessa stopped by my corner office, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Excited for dinner tonight, she asked, leaning against the doorframe. Her perfume was sharp, like her smile. Wouldn't miss it, I said, matching her tone. What's the occasion? Just want to check in. Make sure you're okay. You've seemed off lately. There it was, their narrative planting seeds of doubt. I leaned back in my chair, forcing calm. Just busy, Vanessa. You know how it is with the IPO coming. She nodded, but her eyes lingered, searching for cracks. Well, we're here for you, sis, I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled. Appreciate that. That evening dinner was a masterclass in deception. Nathan grilled salmon in our state-of-the-art kitchen, the scent of lemon and dill filling the air. Vanessa brought a bottle of Pinot Noir, $500 a bottle. I noted, wondering if it was bought with company funds. We sat at the dining table, the Seattle skyline glittering beyond the glass walls. So Adrienne Nathan said, pouring wine. How's the insulin patch project boards asking questions? It's on track, I said smoothly. Clinical trials start next month. Data's solid. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. You sure? I heard there were issues with the prototypes. I caught the jab. She was baiting me, hoping I'd snap. Minor tweaks, I said. Nothing we can't handle. Nathan changed the subject, but the tension hung heavy. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed a text from Caleb. Found something big. Call me after they leave. My heart raced, but I kept my face neutral. Work, I said, slipping the phone into my pocket. Always something. After they left, I called Caleb from my office, locking the door. What did you find? I asked, my voice low. It's not just embezzlement, he said, his tone urgent. Nathan's been funneling money to a private account in the Caymans, and there's a document, a power of attorney draft. It names Vanessa as your legal guardian if you're deemed unfit. I sank into my chair, the room spinning. They're moving fast. There's more, Caleb said. I hacked into Kessler's private email. He's been documenting your symptoms, sleeplessness, irritability. Says you're showing signs of paranoia. Paranoia, I laughed bitterly. They're the ones plotting against me. We need to act, Caleb said. I can get the financial records to the board, but we need a witness, someone they can't discredit. I thought of Lila Monroe, our board's chairwoman. She was old school fair and didn't trust Nathan's slick charm. "I'll talk to Lila," I said, "but we need more something personal to nail them." "I'm working on it," Caleb promised. "Give me 2 days." As I hung up, the weight of it all hit me. This wasn't just about the company anymore. It was about my life, my sanity. And there was something else, a secret I'd buried years ago, one Nathan might use against me if he dug deep enough. A child I'd given up long before I met him. If that came out, it could destroy my reputation and give them the leverage they needed. I stared out at the city, the Space Needle glowing in the distance. The board meeting was in 5 days. 5 days to outmaneuver the 2 people I'd trusted most. 5 days to save everything I'd built. The Seattle skyline shimmered through the fog as I sat in my office at Holt Dynamics, the hum of the city muffled by the glass walls. It was Wednesday, 3 days before the board meeting Nathan and Vanessa had orchestrated to undermine me. Caleb's latest message burned in my mind, a power of attorney draft secret accounts and a psychiatrist on their payroll. But the hint of a deeper secret, a child I'd given up years ago, gnawed at me. If Nathan or Vanessa found out, it could be the weapon they needed to ruin me. I had to move faster. My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I was learning that the past never stays buried. I'd built Holt Dynamics into a biotech powerhouse, but now my husband Nathan and my sister Vanessa were plotting to take it all, maybe even have me declared unfit. Every step I took now was a calculated risk, balancing the facade of ignorance with the hunt for truth. I spent the morning reviewing the financial discrepancies Caleb had flagged, $500,000 missing from the R&D budget. The numbers didn't lie, but they didn't tell the whole story either. I needed more than digital trails. I needed leverage, something to make the board see Nathan and Vanessa for what they were. Lila Monroe, the board's chairwoman, was my best hope. She'd always been skeptical of Nathan's charm and Vanessa's sudden rise to power, but convincing her would take undeniable proof. At noon, I met Lila at a quiet bistro in Belltown, far from the office's prying eyes. The place smelled of fresh bread and roasted garlic, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. Lila, 60, with silver hair and a no-nonsense stare, sipped her tea as I laid out the basics without mentioning Caleb's hacking. "Lila, I think Nathan and Vanessa are manipulating the board," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I found irregularities in the financials, and I overheard them planning to question my leadership, maybe worse." Her eyes narrowed. "Worse, how they're working with Dr. Kessler to paint me as unstable. I don't have it all yet, but I'm close." Lila set her cup down, her expression unreadable. "Adrienne, you've always been the heart of this company, but these are serious accusations. If you're wrong, or if you come off as paranoid, it'll backfire. What do you have access logs showing unauthorized financial reports, emails hinting at a setup? I'm working on more." She leaned back, studying me. "Get me hard evidence by the board meeting. If you're right, I'll back you. If not, you're on your own." I knotted my throat tight. "I'll have it." Back at the office, I kept up appearances, signing off on routine approvals while my mind raced. Caleb was digging deeper into the Cayman accounts, but I needed something personal to tie Nathan and Vanessa together, something to expose their motives. That's when I remembered the old storage unit in Tacoma, where I'd kept personal documents from before Holt Dynamics. It held files from my early days with Nathan, maybe even clues about my past, about the child I'd never told him about. At 5 p.m., I drove to Tacoma, the rain-slicked highway stretching into the dusk. The storage facility was a squat gray building, its corridors lit by flickering fluorescence. My unit smelled of dust and old paper. I sifted through boxes, tax returns, patent drafts, and then a locked metal case I hadn't opened in decades. My hands shook as I pried it open with a screwdriver. Inside were letters, photos, and a birth certificate from 1995. A girl unnamed, given up for adoption when I was 20, broken alone. I'd been a college dropout working double shifts at a diner, unable to keep her. The agency promised a closed adoption, but there was a contact letter for when she turned 18. I'd never sent it. If Nathan found this, he could spin it claim I'd hidden a child to protect my image proof of my instability. I stuffed the documents into my bag, my heart pounding. As I locked the unit, my phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. "We know what you're hiding. Stop digging or everyone finds out." My blood ran cold. Was it Nathan Vanessa? Someone they'd hired. I called Caleb from the car, my voice low. "Someone's onto me." I got a text threatening to expose a secret from my past. "What kind of secret?" he asked, his tone sharp. I hesitated. Could I trust him with this? Something personal? From before Nathan. "I'll tell you in person. Meet me at my place," he said. "It's safer than the lab." Caleb's apartment was a small loft in Capitol Hill, cluttered with tech gadgets and coffee mugs. He poured me a glass of water, his eyes searching mine. "What's the secret, Adrienne? If it's leverage against you, I need to know." I took a deep breath, the weight of 20 years pressing down. I had a daughter when I was 20. Gave her up for adoption. No one knows, not Nathan, not Vanessa. If they find out, they could use it to destroy me. He didn't flinch. "Okay, we'll protect it. But you need to tell me everything so I can lock down any leaks." I nodded, relieved but uneasy. I told him about the storage unit, the documents, the threatening text. He pulled up his laptop, fingers flying. The text came from a burner phone. Untraceable for now. But I found something else. Nathan's been meeting someone at a hotel downtown. Regular payments to a woman named Elena Voss. Not sure who she is yet. A mistress. I asked, my voice hollow. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. Maybe. Or a hired investigator. I'll keep digging. As I left his apartment, the city felt darker. The rain heavier. Back home, Nathan was already asleep or pretending to be. I checked my phone, another text from the unknown number. "You can't hide forever. Board meetings, your last chance." The next morning, I woke early, my mind racing. I needed to confront the past before it consumed me. I called the adoption agency using a burner phone I'd bought on the way home. "I need to know if anyone's accessed my file," I said, giving my old case number. The clerk's voice was clipped. "No recent inquiries, Ms. Holt. But someone requested your file 6 months ago. We didn't release it closed adoption. They'd need a court order 6 months ago. Around when Vanessa joined the company. Coincidence, I didn't believe in those anymore. I met Caleb at a diner that afternoon, the smell of greasy burgers grounding me. The adoption file was accessed, I said. Someone's been looking." He frowned. "I'll check Nathan and Vanessa's search histories. But Adrienne, there's something else. The Cayman account. It's tied to Elena Voss. She's not just a mistress, she's a private investigator, and she's been digging into your past." My stomach dropped. What do they know? Not sure yet, but the board meeting's in 2 days. We need to move fast. That night, I sat in my penthouse, the city lights mocking my isolation. Nathan was out another meeting. I opened my laptop, pulling up the adoption letter I'd never sent. "Dear daughter," it began, "I hope you've had a life full of love." My eyes blurred with tears. I'd given her up to give her a better life. Now that choice could be my undoing. As I closed the laptop, a noise startled me, a creak from the hallway. I grabbed a letter opener, my heart racing. "Nathan," I called. No answer. Just the rain and the growing certainty that I was running out of time. The creak in the hallway echoed in my mind as I gripped the letter opener, the cold metal grounding me in the dark. My Seattle penthouse, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage. I called out again, "Nathan." Silence answered, broken only by the steady patter of rain against the windows. My pulse raced. Was someone in the house, or was my fear playing tricks? I'd heard enough whispers of betrayal to know I couldn't trust my senses or anyone. My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I was fighting to hold on to the biotech empire I'd built, Holt Dynamics, while my husband Nathan and my sister Vanessa schemed to take it from me. Their plan to paint me as unstable, maybe even have me committed, was closing in. The board meeting was 2 days away, and Caleb, my loyal chief scientist, had uncovered their financial schemes, and a private investigator, Elena Voss, digging into my past. a past that held a secret daughter I'd given up at 20. If they found her, they could twist that truth to ruin me. I crept through the penthouse, checking every room. Empty. The security system showed no breaches, but the unease lingered. I locked my office door and called Caleb, my voice a whisper. Someone was in the house. Or I'm losing it. You're not losing it, he said, his tone steady. I'm coming over. Stay put. No, I said quickly. It's not safe. Meet me at the diner tomorrow, 7 a.m. Bring everything you've got. I barely slept, replaying the threatening texts. We know what you're hiding. By morning, I was wired on coffee and adrenaline driving to the diner in Capitol Hill. The place was packed, the air thick with the scent of bacon and syrup. Caleb was already there, his laptop open, his face grim. Tell me you've got something, I said, sliding into the booth. He pushed a USB drive across the table. Bank records from the Cayman account. Nathan's been siphoning $750,000 over 2 years, funneled through Elena Voss's shell company. She's not just a PI, she's his fixer. And there's a draft email to the board dated yesterday. They're proposing a vote to reassign your shares to Vanessa if you're incapacitated. I clenched my fists, rage bubbling. They're moving faster than I thought. There's more, Caleb said, lowering his voice. I traced Elena's communications. She's been in contact with an adoption agency in Portland. They didn't give her your file, but she's close. She knows you had a child. My heart stopped. How old hospital records, maybe. She's good, but I'm better. I've locked her out of the agency's system for now. I exhaled, my mind racing. We need to turn this around. Expose them before they expose me. Caleb nodded. I've got a plan. We leak the financials to Lila Monroe anonymously with enough context to raise red flags. Then at the board meeting, you confront them with the emails. I'll have a backdoor ready to project their messages on the screen if they lie. It's risky, I said, my voice tight. If the board thinks I'm behind the leak, it could backfire. It won't, he said, his eyes locking onto mine. I'll make it look like an internal audit. Trust me. That word trust hung between us. I wanted to believe him, but the spark in his gaze, the way his hand brushed mine, stirred doubts. Was he really in this for me, or did he have his own agenda? Back at the office, I played my part, nodding through meetings, smiling at Vanessa's fake concern. You sure you're okay, Adrienne? She asked during a break, her eyes scanning me like a predator. You seem stressed. Just focused, I said, forcing a smile. Big week. That evening, I met Lila again, this time at her office downtown. The city sparkled below, but the mood was tense. I handed her the USB drive labeled Only Audit Findings. Lila, this came to me anonymously, I said. Financial irregularities tied to Nathan and Vanessa. You need to see it before the board meeting. She plugged it in her face, hardening as she scrolled through the records. This is serious, Adrienne. If it's true, they're done. But we need corroboration. Can you get it? I'm working on it, I said. Just be ready. At home, Nathan was unusually attentive. Cooking pasta in our sleek kitchen, the scent of basil and garlic filling the air. You've been quiet, darling, he said, pouring wine. Everything okay. I sipped the wine, watching him. Just thinking about the board meeting. Big decisions coming. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. We'll get through it together. I wanted to throw the glass at him. Instead, I nodded my mind on Caleb's plan. That night, I found a hidden camera in my office lamp, tiny professional. Elena Voss's work, no doubt. They were watching me, waiting for a mistake. The next morning, Caleb called with a breakthrough. I hacked Elena's cloud drive, found a file labeled Holt Leverage. It's your adoption record, scanned copies from 1995, and a photo of a young woman, mid-20s. Looks like you, my daughter. My chest tightened. Do they know where she is? Not yet, Caleb said. But they're close. Elena's got contacts in social services. We need to shut this down. How I asked, my voice breaking. I can plant a virus in her system, wipe the files. But it's illegal, Adrienne. You'd have to greenlight it. I hesitated. Crossing that line could ruin us both. But if they found her, They'd use her to destroy me. Do it, I said, but cover your tracks. That afternoon, I visited the storage unit again, needing to see the birth certificate one last time. The paper was yellowed, the ink faded, but the weight of that choice giving her up felt fresh. I'd named her Lily in my heart, though the certificate was blank. I tucked it away, vowing to protect her even now. Back home, Nathan was out, but Vanessa stopped by unannounced, her smile tight. Just checking in, sis. Heard you've been digging into old files. Find anything interesting? My skin prickled. She knew about the storage unit. Just organizing, I said, keeping my tone light. You know how I am about clutter. She lingered, her eyes flicking to my bag. Careful, Adrienne. Digging up the past can get messy. After she left, I checked my phone, another text from the unknown number, 1 day left. Confess, or we tell the world. Attached was a grainy photo of me at the storage unit, time-stamped yesterday. They were closing in. I called Caleb. They've got photos of me at the storage unit. We're out of time. I'm on it, he said. Elena's system is down, files wiped. But Adrienne, there's something else. Nathan's meeting Elena tonight at the Westin. I've got the room number. We could catch them in the act. My heart raced. A chance to confront them, maybe record a confession. But it was dangerous, too public, too unpredictable. Set it up, I said. But we go together. As night fell, I dressed in black, my nerves electric. The Westin was downtown, a glittering tower of glass. Caleb met me in the parking garage, his face tense. Room 1408. I've got a recorder and a key card, don't ask how. We rode the elevator in silence, the air thick with unspoken tension. At the door we paused, hearing muffled voices inside. Nathan's laugh, low and intimate. A woman's voice, not Vanessa's. Elena. Caleb swiped the key card and we slipped inside. The room was dimly lit, a bottle of champagne open on the table. Nathan and Elena froze her hand on his arm. Adrienne Nathan gasped, his face paling. I held up my phone, recording. Keep talking, Nathan. Tell me about the Cayman accounts, about Dr. Kessler, about my daughter. Elena's eyes widened, but Nathan recovered fast. You're paranoid, Adrienne. This is just a business meeting. Then why's your shirt unbuttoned? I snapped. Caleb stepped forward, his voice cold. We've got your emails, Nathan. The board's seen the financials. It's over. Nathan lunged for my phone, but Caleb blocked him. Elena bolted for the door, but I grabbed her arm. Who hired you to find my daughter? She smirked. You'll find out tomorrow. As security arrived, drawn by the commotion, I realized we'd tipped our hand. The board meeting was tomorrow, and they still had my secret. Caleb pulled me aside. We've got enough to fight. But Adrienne, there's one more thing I didn't tell you. What I demanded, my heart sinking. He hesitated. The woman in the photo, your daughter, she works for Holt Dynamics, in our lab. The revelation hit me like a shockwave. My daughter, the one I'd given up at 20, worked at Holt Dynamics, in our lab. The Westin hotel room faded around me. Nathan's stunned face, Elena's smug grin. The security guards barked orders, all drowned out by the roar in my head. Caleb's words echoed. She's in our lab. Had I passed her in the halls, unaware? Had she been watching me, knowing who I was? And worst of all, did Nathan and Vanessa know? My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I was fighting to save my biotech empire. Holt Dynamics from my husband Nathan and my sister Vanessa, who were plotting to declare me unfit and seize control. Tomorrow's board meeting was my last chance to expose them. But now, this secret, a daughter I'd never known, threatened to unravel everything. Caleb's evidence, the Cayman accounts, the emails, might not be enough if they played this card. Back in the hotel hallway, security escorted us out. Nathan tried to follow, shouting, Adrienne, you're making a mistake, but I ignored him. My mind racing. Caleb guided me to his car in the parking garage, the Seattle rain blurring the city lights. We need to talk, he said, his voice urgent. Somewhere safe. My place, I said, my voice hoarse. Nathan won't be back tonight. In my penthouse, the glass walls reflected the storm outside, mirroring the chaos within. I poured 2 glasses of scotch, handing one to Caleb. The amber liquid burned my throat, grounding me. Tell me everything I demanded, sinking into the leather couch. Caleb sat across from me, his laptop open. Her name's Tessa Riley, 27 junior lab tech hired 6 months ago. I found her employee file while cross-referencing Elena's adoption inquiries. Her birth date matches your records, March 15, 1995. Portland Hospital. I gripped the glass, my knuckles white. Does she know I'm her mother? No evidence of that, he said. Her file lists adoptive parents, no mention of you. But Elena's been digging into her. Nathan and Vanessa might suspect, but they don't have confirmation yet. I stood pacing to the window. The Space Needle glowed faintly through the fog. Why hire her coincidence? Caleb hesitated. I don't think so. Her resume's solid, but her hiring bypassed standard protocols. Vanessa signed off on it personally. My stomach twisted. Vanessa. My sister, who'd always resented my success, had brought my daughter into the company. Was it a power play or something deeper? What does Tessa look like? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Caleb pulled up a photo from her employee ID. Dark auburn hair, hazel eyes, a sharp jawline like looking in a mirror from 30 years ago. My breath caught. She's been under my nose this whole time. We need to protect her, Caleb said. If they know, they'll use her to break you. I nodded, my mind spinning. Can you lock down her file, make sure no one else accesses it? Already done, he said. But we need to focus on tomorrow. The board's expecting a fight. Lila's got the financials, but we need more to nail Nathan and Vanessa. I sat back down, forcing clarity. What about the power of attorney draft? Can we use it? It's circumstantial, he said. But combined with the Cayman accounts and Kessler's emails, it's damning. I've got a script ready to hack the boardroom projector, show their emails live if they lie. I looked at him, this young man risking everything for me. Why are you doing this, Caleb, really? He leaned forward, his eyes intense. Because you're not just my boss. You're the only one who saw potential in me when I was a nobody. And I care about you, Adrienne. More than I should. The air thickened. I felt it too, that forbidden pull, but I couldn't go there. Not now. We keep this professional, I said, my voice firm, for both our sakes. He nodded, but the tension lingered. Let's focus on the plan. The next morning, I woke to a text from Nathan. We need to talk before the meeting. Come home. I ignored it, dressing in a sharp black suit, my armor for the battle ahead. At the office, I avoided Vanessa's probing glances, focusing on last-minute prep with Caleb. He'd rigged the boardroom projector and had a burner phone ready to stream evidence anonymously to Lila. At 10 a.m., the boardroom filled with the 12 members, their faces a mix of curiosity and unease. Lila sat at the head, her silver hair gleaming under the lights. Nathan and Vanessa flanked me, their smiles polished but predatory. The air smelled of coffee and tension. Lila opened the meeting. We've received concerning reports about financial irregularities. Adrienne, you requested this discussion. The floor's yours. I stood, my heart steady despite the stakes. Thank you, Lila. I've uncovered evidence that Nathan Holt and Vanessa Crane have been siphoning funds from Holt Dynamics, $75,000 to a Cayman account. They've also colluded with Dr. Kessler to falsify medical reports, aiming to question my competency. Gasps rippled through the room. Nathan laughed too loud. This is absurd, Adrienne. You're under stress. The IPO's been tough on all of us. Vanessa chimed in, her voice syrupy. Sis, we're worried about you. These accusations, maybe you need a break. I nodded at Caleb, who was in the tech booth. The projector flickered and an email appeared on the screen. Nathan to Vanessa Kessler's, ready to sign off. One incident, and she's out. The room went silent. Nathan's face reddened. This is a setup. Those are fake. Then explain the Cayman transfers. I said, sliding printed bank records across the table, or the draft power of attorney naming Vanessa as my guardian. Vanessa paled. Adrienne, you're twisting things. Lila cut her off. Enough. These documents are serious. We'll need a full audit. Before I could respond, the door burst open. A young woman stormed in Tessa Riley. Her auburn hair was pulled back, her eyes blazing. "I need to speak," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "I know what they're doing, and I know who I am." My heart stopped. She knew. The room spun as all eyes turned to her. Nathan and Vanessa exchanged a glance. Fear, not surprise. They'd known. "Tessa?" I said, my voice barely audible. "Not now. No," she snapped, stepping forward. "I'm your daughter, Adrienne. I found out last month. And they—" She pointed at Nathan, and Vanessa tried to use me to destroy you. The boardroom erupted in murmurs. Lila banged her gavel. "Order Miss Riley explain." Tessa held up a folder. Emails from Vanessa offering me a job to get close to Adrienne. They told me she abandoned me, that she was unstable. They wanted me to spy to help them take the company. I sank into my chair, my world collapsing. My daughter here manipulated by the people I trusted most. Nathan lunged toward Tessa. "She's lying. She's nobody." Caleb stepped between them, his voice cold. "Back off, Nathan. We've got the emails." Lila stood. "This meeting is adjourned. Adrienne and Nathan, Vanessa. My office now. Ms. Riley, you're coming too." As we filed out, Tessa's eyes met mine, anger, pain, but something else, recognition. I wanted to reach for her, but the weight of her words held me back. The board meeting was over, but the real fight was just beginning, and now my daughter was in the center of it. Part 6, Family Secrets Unraveled. The boardroom's chaos lingered in my ears as I followed Lila Monroe into her office, the weight of Tessa's revelation crushing me. My daughter, here in my company, manipulated by Nathan and Vanessa to destroy me. The Seattle skyline loomed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, gray and unforgiving, mirroring the storm inside me. I'd fought to save Holt Dynamics, my biotech empire, from my husband and sister's betrayal, but now the personal stakes were higher than I'd ever imagined. Tessa knew I was her mother, and she hated me for it. My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52 I was learning that secrets don't just haunt you, they reshape your world. Nathan and Vanessa had planned to declare me unfit, siphoning $750,000 and colluding with a private investigator, Elena Voss, to dig up my past. But Tessa's outburst in the boardroom changed everything. She wasn't just a pawn in their game. She was my daughter, the one I'd given up 27 years ago now, standing before me with eyes full of accusation. Lila's office was stark, all steel and glass, the air heavy with the scent of her jasmine diffuser. She sat behind her desk, her silver hair catching the light, her expression unreadable. Nathan and Vanessa stood to one side, their faces a mix of panic and defiance. Tessa hovered near the door, clutching her folder, her auburn hair framing a face that was painfully familiar. Caleb lingered behind me, his presence a quiet anchor. "Explain yourself, Ms. Riley," Lila said, her voice sharp. "You claim to be Adrienne's daughter and accuse Nathan and Vanessa of manipulation. That's a serious allegation." Tessa's eyes flicked to me, then away. "I was adopted in Portland, 1995. Last month, Vanessa contacted me, said she'd found me through a private investigator. She offered me a job at Holt Dynamics, told me Adrienne was my birth mother, but had abandoned me because she cared more about her career. They said she was unstable, that they needed my help to save the company. I felt like I'd been punched. Tessa." "I didn't abandon you," I said, my voice breaking. "I was 20, broke, alone. I gave you up so you could have a better life." She glared at me. "You never even tried to find me. I grew up wondering why I wasn't enough." Nathan seized the moment, his voice smooth. "This is exactly what we've been saying, Lila. Adrienne's erratic, hiding a child, now this drama. She's not fit to lead." Vanessa nodded, her smile tight. "We were trying to protect the company. Tessa's proof of Adrienne's instability." I turned on them, rage flaring. "You used my daughter to manipulate me. You hired Elena Voss to dig up my past, paid her from company funds." Lila raised a hand. "Enough. Tessa, show me your evidence." Tessa handed over the folder. Emails from Vanessa promising me a promotion if I reported on Adrienne's behavior. And recordings, I taped our meetings. Lila scanned the documents, her jaw tightening. These emails reference payments to Elena Voss and a plan to question Adrienne's competency. Nathan Vanessa care to explain. Nathan's face reddened. Those are fabricated. She's working with Adrienne to frame us. Caleb stepped forward, holding up his phone. Then explain this. He played a recording, Nathan's voice, clear as day, from the Westin. Last night, Kessler's ready to sign off. One incident, and she's out. The room went silent. Lila's eyes narrowed. This, combined with the financial records Adrienne provided, is enough for an emergency board vote. Nathan Vanessa, you're suspended pending a full investigation. Adrienne, you remain CEO for now. Nathan lunged forward. You can't do this. I'm the CFO. Security will escort you out, Lila said coldly. As guards entered, Vanessa grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. You'll regret this, Adrienne. You think you've won. I pulled free, my voice steady. You brought this on yourselves. Tessa watched, her expression unreadable, as Nathan and Vanessa were led away. Lila turned to her. Ms. Riley, your role in this is unclear. You're on leave until we verify your claims. Tessa nodded her eyes, meeting mine briefly before she left. The door closed, leaving me with Lila and Caleb. Adrienne Lila said this daughter situation. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know she was here? I said, my voice hollow. Not until yesterday. Lila sighed. Get your house in order. The board's rattled. You've got a week to stabilize things. Back in my office, I collapsed into my chair, the city's hum a distant buzz. Caleb sat across from me, his face tense. We did it, he said. They're out for now. But Tessa, I whispered. She thinks I abandoned her. He leaned forward. Talk to her. Not as a CEO, but as her mother. I shook my head. She doesn't want that. Not yet. That evening, I drove to Tessa's address, pulled from her employee file, a modest apartment in Fremont. The rain had stopped leaving the streets slick and reflective. I sat in my car, staring at her building, my heart pounding. What could I say I'm sorry wouldn't erase 27 years of absence? My phone buzzed. A text from Caleb found Elena Voss's final report. It's bad. Meet me at the lab ASAP. I hesitated, then drove to Holt Dynamics. The lab was dark, save for the glow of Caleb's laptop. What is it? I asked, my voice tight. He showed me a file labeled Holt Final. It detailed my adoption hospital records, even a psych eval from my college days when I'd struggled with depression. But the worst was a note from Elena confirmed. Tessa Riley is Adrienne's daughter. Contacted her adoptive parents, willing to testify Adrienne was unfit. Nathan and Vanessa planned to use this to force a conservatorship. I sank onto a stool, my hands shaking. They're not done. No, Caleb said, but we can fight back. I've got a contact at the SEC. We can turn over the financials, make this federal. They won't walk away. I nodded, but my mind was on Tessa. I need to see her, tonight. At her apartment, I knocked my heart in my throat. She opened the door, her eyes wary. What do you want to talk? I said. Please. She let me in her apartment, small but tidy, with books stacked on every surface. I don't need your excuses, she said, crossing her arms. You left me. I was 20, I said, my voice breaking. I had nothing. No money, no family. I thought adoption was the only way to give you a future. Her eyes softened, but only for a moment. Vanessa told me you didn't want me, that you chose your career. She lied, I said, stepping closer. I wrote you a letter every year, Tessa. I never sent them because I thought you were better off without me. She looked away, her jaw tight. I need time. I understand, I said, my voice soft. But I'm here now. When you're ready. As I left, the weight of her words lingered. Back home, Nathan was waiting, his face a mask of fury. You think you've won, he spat. I know about Tessa. The board will too. I stood tall, my voice cold. Try it, Nathan. I've got more on you than you'll ever have on me. He stormed out, and I locked the door, my hands trembling. Caleb's SEC plan was risky, but it was my only shot to end this. And Tessa, she was my daughter, but also a stranger. Could I reach her before Nathan and Vanessa did the Seattle dawn? Broke gray and heavy, the clouds pressing low over my penthouse as I stood at the window clutching a mug of black coffee. The boardroom showdown had shaken Nathan and Vanessa, but they weren't done. My husband and sister were still out there armed with my deepest secret. Tessa, my daughter, who worked at Holt Dynamics and believed I'd abandoned her. Their plan to declare me unfit and seize my biotech empire was crumbling. But Nathan's parting threat, I know about Tessa. The board will too, echoed in my mind. I had 1 week to stabilize the company, win over the board, and reach Tessa before they twisted her against me. My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I was learning that love and betrayal are two sides of the same coin, Holt Dynamics. My $90 million biotech legacy was under siege from within, and Caleb, my chief scientist, was my only ally. His evidence, $75,000 siphoned to a Cayman account, emails plotting my downfall, a crooked doctor had given me a fighting chance. But Tessa's revelation in the boardroom changed everything. She was my daughter, and Nathan and Vanessa had used her as a weapon. I met Caleb at a dive bar in Pioneer Square at 8 a.m., the kind of place where the whiskey-soaked air masked our conversation. The bar was nearly empty, the jukebox humming a mournful tune. Caleb slid into the booth, his eyes bloodshot from late nights digging through digital trails. "The SEC's interested," he said, keeping his voice low. "I sent the Cayman account records anonymously. They're launching a preliminary investigation. Nathan and Vanessa won't know yet." "Good," I said, my fingers tracing the rim of my untouched coffee. But Nathan's desperate. He threatened to expose Tessa to the board. Caleb frowned. "We can discredit him first." I found more. Elena Voss was paid $1,000 last month to fabricate a psych report. It claims you had a breakdown in college, ties it to current instability. It's fake, but convincing. I felt a chill. They're building a narrative. If they get to Tessa first, we won't let them. Caleb said, his hand brushing mine. The touch was fleeting, but it stirred that dangerous spark again. I pulled back, focusing on the plan. "I need to talk to the board again," I said. "Convince them I'm stable, that Nathan and Vanessa are the threat. But Tessa, I don't know how to reach her." Caleb leaned closer. "She's angry, but she came forward in the boardroom. That means she's not fully on their side. Give her a reason to trust you." I nodded, but doubt gnawed at me. Tessa's words from last night? "You never even tried to find me cut deep. I'd written her letters, yes, but never sent them. What kind of mother does that?" That afternoon, I drove to Holt Dynamics, the office buzzing with nervous energy. Whispers followed me. Staff had heard about the boardroom drama. I called an emergency meeting with Lila Monroe and 2 other key board members, Paul Chen and Maria Delgado, in a private conference room. The air smelled of polished wood and tension. Lila, Paul, Maria. I began standing tall despite the exhaustion pulling at me. I know the last meeting was chaotic, but Nathan and Vanessa have been stealing from the company $750,000 documented. They've fabricated lies about my mental health to take control. I'm asking for your trust to lead us through the IPO. Paul, a stern man in his 60s, adjusted his glasses. "The financials you provided are compelling, Adrienne. But Tessa Riley's claims she's your daughter. That's a distraction we can't afford." I swallowed hard. "She is my daughter, given up for adoption 27 years ago. I didn't know she worked here until yesterday. Nathan and Vanessa manipulated her to undermine me. That's their pattern deception, not mine." Maria, a sharp lawyer in her 40s, leaned forward. "If Tessa testifies against you, it could sway the board. Can you control her?" "She's not a pawn to be controlled," I said, my voice firm. "She's my daughter. I'll handle it." Lila nodded slowly. "You have until Monday's follow-up meeting to prove you're in control of the company and your personal life. Get Tessa on your side or the board may vote you out." Back in my office, I called Tessa. It went to voicemail. "Tessa, it's Adrienne. I know you're angry, but I want to make this right. Meet me tonight anywhere you choose. Please." No response. I buried myself in work, signing off on the insulin patch trials, but my mind was elsewhere. At 6 p.m., Caleb texted Elena Voss just met with Vanessa at a cafe downtown. I've got audio. Meet me at my place. I drove to Caleb's Capitol Hill loft, the city lights blurring through my windshield. Inside his apartment was a mess of tech gear and empty coffee cups. He played the audio, a grainy recording of Vanessa and Elena. Tessa's wavering Vanessa said, her voice sharp. We need to push her. Tell her Adrienne's planning to fire her. Elena's reply was cool. I've got the psych report ready. If Tessa won't play ball, we leak it to the press. Adrienne is finished. I gripped the table, rage surging. They're cornering her. Caleb nodded. We need to get to Tessa first. I found her at a bar in Fremont. She's there now alone. We drove to the bar, a cozy spot with exposed brick and dim lighting. Tessa sat in a corner, nursing a beer, her face drawn. She looked up as I approached, her eyes narrowing. What do you want now? To talk, I said, sliding into the booth. Caleb hung back, giving us space. Tessa, I know Vanessa fed you lies. I didn't abandon you because I didn't care. I was 20 alone with nothing. I thought adoption was the only way to give you a chance. She stared at her beer, her fingers tight around the bottle. You built this empire. You could have found me. I was scared I admitted my voice raw. Scared I'd disrupt your life. Scared you'd hate me. But I wrote to you every year letters I never sent. They're yours if you want them. Her eyes flicked up, searching mine. Why should I believe you? Because I'm here now, I said. And I'm fighting for you, not just the company. Vanessa and Nathan used you. They're using everyone. She was silent, then nodded slowly. Vanessa called me today. Said you're planning to fire me to cover up your mistakes. She's lying, I said. Come to the board meeting Monday. Tell them the truth. Help me stop them. Tessa hesitated, then stood. I'll think about it. Don't call me again tonight. As she left, Caleb joined me. She's coming around, he said, but we need a backup. I've got the SEC pushing harder. Nathan's accounts are frozen. He doesn't know yet. I nodded, but my heart was heavy. Tessa's pain was my failure, and no victory over Nathan and Vanessa could erase that. That night, I found a letter slipped under my door, handwritten, no signature. Meet me at Gasworks Park midnight. Come alone. My gut told me it was a trap, but I had to know. I texted Caleb the location just in case. The park was eerie, the old rusted structures looming under the moonlight. A figure stepped from the shadows. Elena Voss, her smirk cold. Adrienne, you're persistent, but you're out of moves. What do you want? I asked, my phone recording in my pocket. To offer a deal, she said. Drop the SEC investigation, resign, or Tessa's story and your college breakdown go public tomorrow. Before I could answer, headlights flashed. A car screeched to a stop and Nathan stepped out, his face furious. You're done, Adrienne. Tessa's with us now. My heart sank. Had I lost her for good? The moonlight cast jagged shadows across Gasworks Park, the rusted industrial relics looming like ghosts. Elena Voss's smirk gleamed as she stood before me, her words, Tessa's with us now, echoing in my ears. Nathan's car idled behind her, his silhouette menacing in the driver's seat. My heart pounded the Seattle air thick with salt and betrayal. Had Tessa, my daughter, turned against me after everything Nathan and Vanessa's plot to steal Holt Dynamics, their $750,000 theft, their lies to paint me as unfit, this felt like the final blow. But I wasn't done yet. My name is Adrienne Holt, and at 52, I'd learned that the hardest fights aren't for power, but for truth. My biotech empire, Holt Dynamics, was on the brink with the board's final vote in 2 days. Caleb, my chief scientist, had armed me with evidence bank records, emails, a rigged psych report, but Tessa's revelation as my daughter had upended everything. If she'd sided with Nathan and Vanessa, my fight might already be lost. I kept my voice steady, my phone recording in my pocket. What do you mean Tessa's with you? I asked Elena. She laughed low and sharp. She's done playing your victim. Vanessa convinced her you'll fire her to save yourself. She's ready to testify your abandonment, your instability. The board will eat it up. Nathan stepped out of the car, his face twisted with smug triumph. You should have taken the deal, Adrienne. Resign and we keep this quiet. Fight and your daughter's story goes public. I clenched my fists, rage simmering. You used her, my daughter, to destroy me. She came to us, Nathan said. You left her nothing. We gave her a purpose. I wanted to scream, but I held back. Where is she? Elena smirked. Safe. You'll see her Monday if you don't back down. Headlights flashed behind me. Caleb's truck pulled up his door, slamming as he strode toward us. Enough games, he said, his voice cold. The SEC's got your Cayman accounts, Nathan. Frozen. They're raiding your office tomorrow. Nathan's smirk faltered. Elena's eyes darted to him. You said this was clean, she hissed. It is. Nathan snapped, but his voice cracked. Adrienne's bluffing. Am I said, stepping closer. We've got your emails, your payments to Elena Kessler's fake report. And Tessa, she's not your pawn anymore. Elena laughed. You think she trusts you? She knows you chose your career over her. Before I could respond, another car pulled up. Tessa stepped out, her auburn hair catching the moonlight. My heart stopped. Her eyes met mine, unreadable, then flicked to Nathan and Elena. You lied to me, she said, her voice trembling but firm. Both of you. Nathan froze. Tessa, we had a deal. No, she cut him off, holding up her phone. I recorded you tonight, Nathan, telling me Adrienne was planning to ruin me. But I checked her office files letters, dozens of them written to me every year. She didn't abandon me. You used me. I stared at her, tears stinging my eyes. Tessa. Not now, she said, her voice sharp but softer toward me. I'm here for them. Caleb stepped beside her, his presence steady. Tessa reached out to me an hour ago, he said. She's ready to testify for you. Nathan lunged toward Tessa, but Caleb blocked him, his fist raised. Try it, Caleb growled. Security lights flared. Park guards alerted by the commotion. Elena bolted, but Tessa grabbed her arm. You're not going anywhere. As the guards restrained Nathan and Elena, Tessa turned to me. I don't know if I can forgive you, she said, her voice breaking. But I know you're not the monster they said you were. I knotted my throat tight. I'll wait, Tessa, as long as it takes. The next morning, I sat in my penthouse, the city waking beyond the glass walls. The SEC raid was underway. Nathan's office sealed Vanessa's too. Caleb called with an update. They're done. The board's called an emergency vote today. Lila's pushing for their removal. At Holt Dynamics, the boardroom was packed, the air thick with anticipation. Lila stood at the head, her voice commanding. Based on the evidence, financial theft, falsified reports, and manipulation of an employee, we propose the immediate termination of Nathan Holt and Vanessa Crane from all roles. Paul Chen nodded. And Adrienne, can she lead through this? I stood my hands steady. I've made mistakes, but not in leading this company. Holt Dynamics is my vision, and I'll fight for it. Tessa Riley is my daughter, and I won't hide that. But she's also a victim of Nathan and Vanessa's schemes. She's agreed to testify to that. Tessa, sitting at the back, nodded slightly. The board murmured, but Lila raised a hand. All in favor of removing Nathan and Vanessa, hands shot up unanimous, and Adrienne, as CEO, Lila asked. One hesitation then, all hands rose. Relief flooded me, but it was bittersweet. Tessa slipped out before I could speak to her. That evening, I found a letter at my door, her handwriting. I read your letters. I'm not ready to be your daughter, but I'm glad you're fighting. Maybe one day. My heart ached, but it was enough for now. 6 months later, I wake in a new apartment in Belltown. Smaller, simpler mine. Holt Dynamics thrives, the IPO a success. Nathan and Vanessa face charges embezzlement fraud. Tessa moved to Portland working for a rival firm. She texts sometimes short messages, but each one feels like a step. I walk to my balcony, the Puget Sound sparkling below. I'm Adrienne Holt, 52, a mother who lost and found her daughter, a woman who lost trust but gained herself. The scars remain, but so does my strength. And in the quiet of this new life, I've learned that freedom comes not from winning, but from choosing who you fight for, starting with yourself.